Okay, today we'll be talking about distance. We're going to start with a distance formula, then we're going to talk about circle. So let's try to find a distance between 2 points. And let's draw the Cartesian coordinate system. And let's just put 2 points here. Okay, and let's try to find the distance between these 2 points. As you know, the distance has 2 ordered pairs. So let me write this one as some number involving x and y. It would be x1, y1. And then I have this point, therefore represents x2, y2. Okay. In fact, let me rewrite this as this is your x1, y1, and this is your x2, y2. Okay. Now, let's try to find the distance between x1, y1, and x2, y2. Let's do the horizontal distance. So if I go horizontally up to this point, I know the distance is x2 minus x1. And then if I go vertically, connecting these points, then I know the distance between y2 minus y1. So if we have done the horizontal and the vertical distance, we will end up with this. But what we are going to look for is the distance between this point and this point. So I'm going to connect this. So what is the distance? I think this should make you remember of the Pythagorean theorem. So what the Pythagorean theorem is, if you have a right angle triangle, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So this is your c squared. So we're going to do that. So we want to find not the distance, but the distance squared. So what I'm going to do would be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So from here to here would be distance squared. So I'm just applying the Pythagorean theorem. Since I'm looking not for distance squared but for just a distance, so I can rewrite this. So the distance should be x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. That is what we call the distance formula. Okay, this is the formula that we apply when we have, if we want to look at the distance between 2 ordered pairs of points. Let me give you one example. Now, if you are asked to find the distance between, let's say, -1, 4, and let's say 3 and -2. Use the distance formula, x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. By the way, you can reverse it. You can say x1 minus x2 squared and y1 minus y2 squared because you are squaring it. It doesn't change its value. So this is your x1, y1, this is your x2 and y2. All you need to do is just simply plug in. y2 minus y1 would be -2 minus 4 squared, right? And then I don't want to confuse you. So x2 minus x1 squared. So let me use 3 minus negative 1 squared plus negative 2 minus 4 squared. Okay. Make sure to link the y2 to y1, not to x1, and the same also to the x. Now 3 minus negative 1 is positive 4, and then you have 4 squared plus negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6 squared. Then you have 16 plus 36, right? And add them together. You have the square root of 52, right? So this will be the distance that you are going to get when you use the distance formula. Okay. You can simplify it if you want to, but that is good. Now, so that's what we mean by the distance formula. And then we have the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula is also not that difficult. So you add the x's together and divide them by 2, and then y1 plus y2 over 2. This is your midpoint formula. Probably let me throw one. Find the midpoint of the two ordered pairs, -1, -3, and 2 and 3. So you have x1, y1, x2, y2. So the midpoint for x would be what? -1 plus 2 over 2. And then for y1 plus y2 would be -3 plus 3 over 2. -1 plus 2 gives you half. -3 plus 3 is 0, 0 over 2. So the midpoint for the x is half, and for y is 0. Okay. So halfway between -3 and 3 is 0. Halfway between -1 and 2 is positive half. Okay, I think that takes care of this. Now, we are going to look into circle. Now we are actually trying to look at to apply the distance formula to our concept of circle. You know, this is our midpoint. The midpoint is crucial because if I draw a straight line after each way, it has the same distance. So this is what we call the radius. So the distance between here and here, the distance between here and here are all the same. So all what is changing is the variable x. We have said the distance formula is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. All you need to do is change this into a formula of the circle. So the radius would be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared, in which h and k are called the vertices. So the h and k are the vertices. And then now we can actually look into okay. So and then the radius squared would be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared, and h and k are all the vertices. We'll talk about the vertices later on because I don't want to explain it right now when we talk about parabolas. So we are going to use either of the equations depending upon the questions that we are asked to solve. Now, suppose you are asked you have a circle with a center -2 and 3 and a radius of 4, and you are asked to write an equation. Mind you, the center, -2 is the x component of the center and +3 is the y component of the center. So I'm going to write this one as h and this one as k. It's just a standard, you know. So I'm going to write the formula of the circle, y minus k squared is equal to r squared. And we are asked to write an equation. All I need to do is just what? Plug in. So you have your x is what? The x component of your center is what? -2. So I'm going to write x minus -2 squared plus y. Your k is 3 minus 3 squared, and your r is 4, so it would be 4 squared. Okay. Now this becomes what? X plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 16. So this is the standard form of writing an equation. Probably you would be asked to simplify this x plus 2 squared later on. But this is how to write an equation if the center and the radius are given to us. Okay. Now, the reverse is not that difficult. So you are asked to find the center and radius of the circle whose equation is let's say x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared is equal to 9. So you know the formula for this would be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So once you write it, you want to find out which one is your h and which one is your k. In this instance, be careful because we're subtracting the center from the x coordinate of the center from x and the y coordinate of the center from y. So if that is the case, then your h is 2, the x coordinate of the center. Be careful of the k. Since we have y plus 4, if I want to write y plus 4, it would be y minus -4 squared. So because you have to have the minus, not the plus. In that case, your k is what? Your k is -4. You can always prove it by plugging it into the number and do it reverse. If your r squared is 9, your r is what? 3. So you have found the center and the radius if you have an equation. Okay, so this is the most simplified form of finding the center and radius. Okay. Okay, so now the general form the equation of a circle. Again, it's the idea behind it is rewriting it in a different format of a circle. Yes, let me write it. So you have x squared plus y squared plus dx plus ey plus f is equal to 0, knowing full well d, e, and f are constant numbers. They are not variables. So, in order to do that, you have to rewrite this in the form of x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. So, these are different ways of writing of the circle because both of them represent the equation of a circle. One in the standard form, the other one in a general form. Okay. Suppose now you have x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y minus 23 is equal to 0. And then you are asked to find the center and the radius by looking at this. And in order to find the center and the radius, it's much easier to write it in the standard form. Right? This is the standard form, and this is the general equation form. Okay. So what you need to do is combine like terms. First move negative 23 to the other side. So write x squared plus 4x, right? Plus y squared minus 6y is equal to 23. Okay? Is equal to 23. I want to rewrite this in this form. Now, if you remember, probably 2 sessions ago, completing the square. This is where we can come up with that concept. That's the reason why we are doing completing the square. So look at x squared plus 4x and y squared minus 6y. I want to complete the square. Half of 4 is 2, right? So if half of 4 is 2, if I square it, I get 4. So this would be x squared plus 4x plus 4. I completed the square, if you remember. Plus, let's do the same thing to y. Y squared minus 6y, I want to complete the square. Y squared, half of negative 6 is negative 3, and if I square it, I get 9. Now, watch out. I have brought new values into our equation, 4 and 9. I can't just simply write 23 because otherwise I'm changing the value. So whatever I have added here, which is 13, I have to what? Subtract it there. So 4 plus 9 is 13, so it would be 23 minus 13. 4 and 9. Which would give us 10. Okay. Now I'm going to rewrite this as what? X. This is x plus 2 squared. Right? Plus y minus 3 squared, which is equal to 10. Okay. I'm already there. But mind you, the standard formula always what? I'm subtracting the center from x. So x plus 2 means what? X minus negative 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 10. Mind you, my 10 is what? It is r squared, not r. So, from here I can say, the center is what? Negative 2 and 3. Right? Negative 2 and 3. And the radius is what? The square root of 10. Okay. So, here, the new item is we have to do the completing the square if we see the equation of a circle in a general format. And then we can determine the center in the radius after that. Okay, so I think we are done with the distance formula, the midterm formula in the equation of a circle, and probably I should end the session here, even though this one is shorter.